Hey everybody, here's another Miss Clemens and Mr. Marshall with another U.S. History Flipped. This is our part 2 of Roaring Twenties. Everybody's going crazy and there's all sorts of changes. This one focuses on culture. So we're going to see a lot of changes in the way that women dress, women act, different types of music, different types of literature, different ways that people just, view everything. Pretty interesting stuff, really. So here we go. First, there's this thing going on at the time where there's a lot of liberal ideas and there's a lot of conservative ideas, and they're really starting to clash. Now, a conservative person doesn't like change. Wants to keep it the way that it is. Nice and calm. Standard. Normal. A liberal person likes change. He likes those new things that are coming out and shifting it around and making it this other way that's new and awesome, and it might not work out, but we have to try. Conservative person goes, no, keep it the way it is. It works that way. There's no reason to change it. And these two types of ways of looking at things start to, come into conflict with each other a lot. Here are some different ways that they come to conflict. Now, the women's role in World War I really brought them out of the home and into the workplace. Now, granted, this is going to happen even more in World War II, but this is where it starts. You got a couple of pictures right here with women working on cars and working in factories and, women posters all over the place. Victory waits on your fingers. Come and work and help out. So women experienced life outside the home, and they were in war production and all sorts of different stuff. And people started to see, oh wow, they really can do these things. It's pretty awesome. And, they just proved themselves. And the fact that they went and did this really starts to change a lot of different things. And this is what it changes. There's women showing their shoulders. Heaven forbid. And you start to get these flappers, where the women of the 1920s, they start challenging traditional roles. They're cutting their hair short. They're wearing skirts that show their calves. They're drinking in public. Scary, scary stuff. They're dancing. How dare they dance? And this is that really liberal view, where things are changing. They're mixing it up. They're doing these new things. And a lot of people got scared of it. They were like, whoa, we can't do that. It's going to lead to horrible, horrible things. And, cats falling from the sky and whatnot. It's horrible. These women are like, hey, we just helped out in a war. We got jobs. Why can't we do this? I'm going to go wear makeup. It's going to be awesome. And so there's a lot of changes that start to happen. And you also see the temperance movement. Now, this has been going on for a lot longer than just the 1920s, but it really takes a strong foothold. And this is where you get the whole anti-alcohol, get rid of liquor, the prohibition type stuff. The social movement largely by women against alcoholic beverages. Right here you see a guy with a bottle and the serpent coming out, and he's gonna bite him. And there was a lot to this. There was a lot of alcoholism. There was a lot of domestic violence. There were a lot of problems. So it does make sense. From that, we end up getting to prohibition. No alcohol whatsoever. Very, very conservative. We're going to get rid of all those crazy things, and we're just going to make it like this, and nice and standard, and don't need to worry about anything else. And while it was a really, really good idea, it didn't pan out the way that we were expecting, or they were expecting. And we're going to talk about that more later. And then you get the bootlegging, you get speakeasies, you get moonshine, you get all sorts of different stuff. The rise of the mob. Wow, the mob got so strong. This is where you start seeing race cars, which I just find amazing. An entire sport develops by people running from cops. And that's entirely how it started. They had this moonshine in their trunks, and they're like, oh, it's the popo, drive faster. And then you souped up their cars to go even faster. And then the cops souped up their cars to try to catch them. And then the bootleggers souped up their cars even more. And it just keeps on going back and forth. And then you get this racing. And it's just really cool, how these different things develop and affect different parts of our culture. And then you get the speakeasies, which are these little secret door places hidden in cities where you could go and they were bars, but it was illegal, so you had to make sure it was super quiet, use the secret knock. And yeah, there's actually, there's a couple old speakeasies that still exist down in New York City. There's one or two that you can go check out. that are pretty cool. And from all this stuff, the mob just gets so strong. Right here you see a bunch of people dumping out all the alcohol. There was a raid on a speakeasy or something, and they found it all, and they just destroyed it. Break all the bottles, pour it in the sewers, stuff like that. And then the mafia. Right here you got Al Capone, you got all the gangsters with their souped up car, the Valentine's Day massacre where so many people got killed. There's so much violent crime. It got really, really bad. So they decided, this just ain't working. People are drinking anyway. We can't just completely control people's morality. We can't control people choosing right from wrong with a law. Let's get rid of it. Let's make the taxes. Let's weaken the mob. Let's get the changes that we need. And they made the 21st Amendment. Right. Next one, Fundamentalist Christianity. Right. Now, this has more of an impact than you'd think, because they had this very, very strong belief in literal interpretation of the Bible. And what that led to is the way that things got taught in schools. And it was a big, big deal. I'm sure you guys in your science classes talk about evolution. Depending on up here in the north, talking about evolution isn't a big thing. Whether it's evolution, whether it's creationism, it's not huge. We just teach it and we teach it, and that's it. You go down south though, they still have some difficulty, with what they want to teach and how they want to teach it. So this particular thing did happen in Tennessee, so it was in the South, and it was a trial with a teacher, John Scopes, who was, teaching evolution, and it was a big, big problem. They were like, no, you can't do that. That's against the Bible. Very conservative feeling. Teach it the way we've always taught it. Don't change. And I mean, this went all the way up to a court case. This is a big deal. So very much not wanting to change that aspect of our society. A lot of people were fighting against it. Right. Yeah, 9 minutes to deliberate. Super, super fast. Right. And then right here you have the Darwinian hypothesis of evolution, science falsely so-called, where you have the Pied Piper who's just leading all of these children, these lovely little skill children, on the path of education to disbelief in God. And it's like, these just saying, right here, the artist is saying, we can't just let anybody guide our children in any way they want, because it's going to lead to these horrible caves and these horrible things. We need to moderate it. And that was the view of a lot of people back then, and in some ways it still is today, especially in different portions of the country. Okay. And then we have the revival of African American culture, which was huge in New York City. Oh my God, it was huge. We have the Great Migration, where you have all these people down in the South, and they're going in different directions. I have no idea what these different colors are, but apparently there's 3 of them. And they're going from the southeast to the northeast and central and west and all over the place, looking for jobs, looking for better living conditions, and anything that they can find to just improve their lives. Okay? And a lot of this was because of World War I, because now, blacks are getting into the military, blacks are like getting more jobs because, men are off fighting, we need to get these things done. And it led to a lot of really, really cool things. Like the Harlem Renaissance, which, yes, was in Harlem. You can still go down to the Apollo Theater where a lot of this stuff happened. Right? You get Langston Hughes, Duke Ellington, like some awesome jazz, some really, really good literature, some really, really cool stuff. Right? And everybody loved the Harlem Renaissance. I mean, Harlem was the place to go. There was so much stuff going on there, and it was just a really cool time. So that's it for part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, you can always go back and pause and flip around or anything to fill in the chart that you need, or to get more information for any of the other assignments. Make sure you guys check out part 3 and get all that finished up, and have a good one.